half the jobs we have today, according to Oxford and a variety of other universities, are going to be gone. They're replaced by robotics, by algorithms. You know the game. And so the bottom line is you need to be good at pattern recognition, and that's what gets somebody strong at anything. I mean, you look at, why is Amazon doing so well? He realized one pattern was valued over anything else: convenience. Right? If you look at Tom Brady, a friend of mine, he's got pattern recognition like nobody else at 43 years old. He's able to do things no one dreamed could be done. He's got more Super Bowl rings than any team. So I said, I want to go to the best people on earth and see what do they see that none of us see. What's the pattern? Then you got to learn pattern utilization. It's one thing to see it. It's another thing to use it. And then if you're good after a while, you get to pattern creation. It's like if you learn to play the piano, most people play other people's music. And then there's a point you've learned so much that you're able to create. And I think those three skills are the most important skills. So I look at the areas that matter most and say, who already has that extraordinary pattern recognition utilization? So I go to Ray Dalio, who's, returned more money to investors than anyone alive. He's going to have a different level of understanding than the average person. Also, to give you an idea, I push my body, lactic acid. If you're running with a friend and you get where you can't speak anymore, you're at a 4 of lactate. I'm at an 18 of lactate and still speaking. They just couldn't believe it. I have 15 pounds more of lean body mass than the average lineman does in the NFL. So the demands, I jump 1,000 times in a day on average, is what they measured. I weigh 282 pounds. So they're explaining to me every time I come down, it's 4 times your body weight. So 1,000 times 1,000 is 1,000,000 pounds of pressure per day. And I've been doing that for 45 years. So if you saw my bone density, they showed it in a graph and they go, these are humans. These are the greatest Olympic athletes. This is something we never measured before. It's 99.999% stronger than anything they've measured of any human. So those demands are huge, but then, I'm still not infallible. So I go snowboarding and I'm chasing a 22-year-old, which the age isn't as much as the skill, a lot more skill than I had. And oh my God, I had an accident. I tore my rotator cuff so bad, 9 pain, wouldn't go away. Went to all the doctors. He needs surgery. What's the recovery time? 4 months to 6 months. I'm like, I have friends who still can't bring their shoulder down. And I've had other ones re-injure it. And so I went and looked around, and what started me really on this is I said, okay, what are my other options? What about stem cells? I met Dr. Bob Harari. He's kind of like one of the founders of stem cells.
I know him well.
Guy did those, Bob. He did those original studies where they took old rats and gave them young rats' blood. We've all heard about it now, and vice versa. And the old rats got young and young rats got old, kind of vampire stuff. But as a result, they discovered stem cells and what they could do. And Bob said, Tony, you won't get them here. Go to this place in Panama. You'll get 4-day-old stem cells that are from the cord. They're not obviously fetal cells in any way. I wouldn't do that. And I went down, and the first day I felt okay. The second day I felt really tired. The third day I woke up, not only was my shoulder perfect, and I mean perfect in 3 days. I could do anything with it. I've had the MRI, but I had spinal stenosis for about 14 years. And I woke up for the first time in my life without back pain.
What is the most exciting thing coming at the cutting edge of medicine? Is it stem cells? Is it something else?
No, it's understanding that the aging process is the breakdown of communication between the cells. Dr. David Sinclair from Harvard is probably the number one expert in the world. There's something called Yamanaka factors, which is a way of turning on the body's original systems. Most people are familiar with their DNA, but of course, DNA or your genome, that is not your destiny. What matters is the system that runs that. And so the epigenome is what's that called if people aren't familiar with it. And the epigenome gets messed up, meaning as time, radiation, bad food, bad lifestyle, it irritates, and all of a sudden the communication is not so clear. But there are ways of restoring it. So they restored 3 out of 4 of these Yamanaka factors just recently at Harvard University, and they took mice that are blind. Now they had glaucoma, so the nerves are gone. And they reversed the aging, and they can see again. It's the first time in history.
So the nerves actually regrew?
Regrew. There's gene therapies right now of people that are being able to see again for the very first time.
The reasonable man conforms to the world. The unreasonable man bends the world to his will. Therefore, all progress depends on the unreasonable man.
My favorite quotes.
Oh my God, it's so good.
I have a philosophy I teach everybody in all my teams. I have 105 companies now. It's mind-boggling. And all these radically different industries. We're now doing almost $7 billion in business. I had no business background. But it's a certain core philosophy that allows you to grow anything. But it starts with the people themselves. And my whole thing is one choice is no choice. Two choices, the dilemma. There's always three choices. Like you said, I may not like the choice, but it's there. But more importantly, I think it's getting people to see that what they thought was possible, impossible is possible. The more you can give people an experience, like talk's cheap, but I've done enough things in my life with enough people at this stage. I've got a track record where it's like, I said it's going to happen. Most people say he's probably true. It's probably likely he's going to pull it off. Maybe I should jump on board. But the mindset has to be destroy any limitation and move forward, move forward, move forward. There is a way, move forward. And I think if you watch this, it's like taking off on a plane from, I'm in Texas right now. If I flew from Dallas here to go to Hawaii, you're off course about 90% of the time. I'm a pilot. Now, what if every time I'm off course, oh my God, I'm off course. Oh, I should freak out. Oh my God, I'm off course again. But you just tack back and forth and you land exactly where you want to be, 3,000, 4,000, 5,000 miles, away. And I think that's how we have to navigate. But most of us, and especially during these COVID times, most of us have been conditioned not to take a risk. People ask me all the time, what does it take to be happy? And I always tell them it's really simple. One word, progress. Progress equals happiness. If you keep growing, you're going to feel alive. And if you keep growing, you're going to have more to give. And when you're growing and giving is when life is magnificent. It doesn't matter how many statues, Oscars they give you, or Emmys, or how much money you have in the bank. We've all seen people have all those things, and I get the phone call because they're depressed or somebody commits suicide in that area. So it's really an inner game. And I think that's what's missing for us today. Everybody's focusing on the outside world, and how there's a lot of things in the outside world you'll never be able to control. You can influence, but you can't control it. This, your mind, your emotions, your body, you have 100% control over what you do with these things. And that's where the game is won. You win the inner game, then you win the outer game. But a lot of people spent their life trying to win the outer game. They won and they're miserable. So to me, success without fulfillment is the ultimate failure. And so many people are focused on success still, which to me is like, there's nothing wrong with it, but it's like success is getting what you want. Fulfillment is living what you're made for, and it's like fulfillment and success, they're not even the same universe. And there's nothing wrong with going for success, but you really got to figure out what you're made for. And nobody knows in the beginning. So you start where you are and you do what's in front of you, you do what's next. Then you keep growing until you start to discover, hey, this is my real passion. This is my real hunger and drive. And it can change. People go for 5, 6, 7 years, and then they usually question their business, their career, their body, their relationships. And then one of two things happens. They change direction and feel renewed, or they go, no, I got a great deal here. What the hell's wrong with me? And they recommit and they get stronger. But that's life. And if you don't grow, I don't give a damn how much you got going for you, you're going to be miserable.
I've heard you talking about Bitcoin for years now. I know you know about NFTs. Like, it's how are you so able to embrace change? And how the hell do you stay this enthusiastic in a world that changes this fast as you get older? Why are you not? Like, so many people are crippled by that. They just want things to stay the same.
I think as early on, I realized, one of the things you have to understand about life is everything changes and everything ends. And that kind of sounds heavy on the front end, but it's a truth. If everything changes and everything ends, number one, it should make you appreciate what you have right now. And then my view is what's next is always better. If I make it so, it's my job to make it so. And so I think, for me, I look at it and say, when you said genius is a young man's game, I think that's total bullshit. I think passion is the genesis of genius. If you've got enough passion, you're going to find answers nobody else does. But most people run out of fuel, meaning they get tired, they get exhausted, they get burnt out, they get, the law of familiarity. They're around something so much, they take it a little bit for granted. And I've managed to see something in myself that I found in every great leader that I've ever respected. And that is, I value intelligence immensely, but I know really smart people can't fight their way out of a paper bag pragmatically, right? I'm sure you do too. What I see as the one common denominator of people that are successful over a lifetime is the sustained hunger. Hunger is the number one factor. When I see somebody, I don't care what age they are, I don't care what their background is, if they're hungry to improve, to change, to make something happen. I mean, if you look at Richard Branson, he's as hungry today in his late 60s as he was at 16 years old in that crypt starting Virgin. You look at my buddy Mark Benioff, he's kind of in his early 50s right now. Mark is more hungry today than when I knew him 12, 14, 15 years ago when he was first coming up with the idea of, he went to one of my seminars over and over again, the UPW, you know which one. And he went there like 4 or 5 times, and he was sitting in the front row. He's a tall guy, introduced himself and said, "You've convinced me. I'm going to leave this company I work for as an employee here, and I'm going to go start this new company called Salesforce.com.
Wow.
And he says, "Tony, we're going to do $100 million in business. We're going to change business." Now he's doing whatever, 30 billion right now. But it's because he hasn't lost the hunger. And I think the law of familiarity is what destroys a relationship. You get around somebody enough, you love them, but you don't have the same passion, same aliveness. And I'm just not willing to settle for a life without passion and aliveness. That's just like, there's so much to learn. There's so much to grow. There's so much to give. And I'm wired to grow and give. And I think anybody gets wired to grow and give is going to have a really fulfilling life. It doesn't matter what you choose to do. You're going to be alive because you're going to make progress. And because you made progress, you have something to give. And we all, some people think they just want to get. But you get, and it's pretty damn boring, and it doesn't really expand your sense of identity of who you are. But if you're constantly growing and then taking what you learn, you're so excited about it, you share with other people and their life gets better, whether that be software you make or dresses you design or, something you do in the health space that really gets people to enjoy their food while they're eating well. If you have those passions and you keep growing, there's no limit. It doesn't matter what happens in the short term with a pandemic or with a drop in the economy or whatever the case may be. These are all temporary when you realize life is lived in decades, not in days.